Hello, friends. This is Adam with Movie Guy 365. And in this video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking not so much about a disc review, anything 4K or Blu Ray. We're going to be talking about a movie itself. And with me is going to be a good friend of mine. He's also a podcaster and just a really overall great movie lover. And just like I said, good friend of mine. And that is Pete Tedone. Say hi, Pete.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Adam, thanks for doing this. I'm looking forward to doing more of these as we go forward, and thanks everyone for checking it out.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. Pete and I first met. He has a podcast, which Disney. It started out as Disney Magic Hour and Film Basement, and I used to be a listener to that. And of course, the little bit of interaction that we had, we became friends. And I currently am. I do the podcast with him, the Disney Movie Hour, which is a weekly show. We talk about basically new releases on, the Disney side of things. We talk about, like right now, we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We did WandaVision, and we, of course, do the movie reviews. So, Pete, tell everybody a little bit about Disney Movie Hour.
Yes, the Disney Movie Hour has been around for, I think, 6 years, maybe even 7 years now at this point. And yeah, we started as a park show and then realized that wasn't really our strength. We were more of a movie show. So then we started reviewing the movies from Snow White and up. We would go through the production history, who directed it, and we would go through the whole storyline and whether or not it works and ask 3 questions, basically, was the big thing. Like, does it still hold up? What's the moral and does it achieve it? And what was the iconic shot? So that we did that for a long time, but so much coming out on Disney Plus that we've just been sticking there right now, and we're going to be there for pretty much the whole year, because every time one series ends, a movie or something else comes out in between, and then another series starts, and then another series starts after that, and another movie comes out. So that's what we've been really focusing on. And on top of that, we've been really lucky. We've had some really great guests. We've had a couple of Imagineers, Chris Merritt and Rolly Crump. Rolly Crump was one of the original designers of A Small World. We've had Disney producer Don Hahn on the show, who was producer of Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. We've had a number of their Broadway stars come on, Alton Fitzgerald White and Kevin Massey. And it's been great. We've had a really great time there, and Adam's been with us. You've been with us for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, often. Well, I was part-time on the show for at least 3 or 4 years, and then basically in the last year or two, it's been more of a full-time thing. Yeah. But in addition to Disney, one of the things that we really bond on are just movies in general. Like, you are a huge movie fan. Looking behind you, you can see your massive art collection there, which you have many more. But
got a lot in this house.
Yeah. but movies in general, not just inside the Disney bubble, but all the studios, they all put out great content. And we like to talk about more obscure stuff also. Things, like A24 puts out, with like Midsummer and Hereditary, and then things that are big budget studios, like from Paramount and all the other, studios out there. So what we want to do here on this particular show is talk about movies in general. It's going to be some of the more well-known, like this week we're going to talk about Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, but also maybe dive into some of the lesser stuff. So, we'll take it on a week-to-week basis and see what we come up with. But so just real quick, the original Justice League, the Justice version, what were your initial thoughts about it?
Well, I mean, going back with everything with DCU, I think it's been a very mixed bag of not great and bad. I really have. I mean, Wonder Woman, I really liked. Wonder Woman, even Wonder Woman 84, I thought it was corny as hell, but I thought it was corny on purpose, and I've enjoyed that. I thought Birds of Prey was a lot of fun. I like Man of Steel, going more towards like Snyder's work. I like Man of Steel. I would change or slightly adjust 2 scenes to help with the issues that I have with it. But I actually think Man of Steel is a really great Superman film. It's not 78. It doesn't have to be 78 all the time. I really like it. I don't like Batman vs. Superman. Not a fan of that movie. I think it's a mess. Outside of Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman is phenomenal in that movie. And her introduction, imagine that introduction wasn't ruined by trailers. That would have been, I don't know if I can do like a holy moment, for that movie. It would have been incredible.
It's
I
kind of
did
like
not like.
the whole. It's kind of like the whole Hulk reveal in Thor Ragnarok. They ruined that in the trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand there.
Justice League I thought was terrible. I thought it was a muddled mess. It did feel like so many people had notes. It just felt like a movie that was noted to death. And I was aware of the situation that was going on, the personal tragedy that was going on with Snyder, but they also just didn't like what he was putting together at the time. That was also part of it. And actually, I thought it was super gross that they used the tragedy of his family as sort of the prop up for, like, we don't agree with what's going on with the film.
Yeah.
You know, they definitely they were definitely looking at the success of Marvel and said, hey, can we make it a little more lighthearted? Like, remember, they did that with Suicide Squad, too. That first trailer came out, and it was kind of, DCU-ish. And then the second one was suddenly to music, to Queen, and it was all like, hey, this is going to be fun.
Yeah,
and
this is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it felt like they were like, oh, yeah, we can do a Guardians film, too. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what you made. Which they've done in reverse. Like, they've done it to themselves in reverse. When Green Lantern was first debuted, and granted, I know that movie's terrible, but when the movie was first brought out, the trailer, it was jokey. And people were like, I don't want jokes. I want serious, superhero thing. So then the second trailer came out, and it was, Green Lantern. And you were like, oh, these people are full of shit. Like, that's not what this movie's going to be like at all. So I've never felt very comfortable with anything coming out from Warner Brothers recently on the DCU live action front, because I don't know that they really know what they're supposed to be. I think Aquaman's great. I think Aquaman's like the perfect mix of ridiculous and funny, and also that scene with the creepers or whatever they're called, from the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
That scene's legitimately scary. Like, that's a great sequence. But Justice League, I did not like. I watched it in the theater. I tried to convince myself that I liked it a little bit more than I would have. There are moments that I really liked, but overall, like, Steppenwolf was useless. As someone who's familiar with those comics, I didn't even feel like the plot was very clear, where you don't have to tell me very much to be like, Mother Box is going to Mother Box.
Yeah.
But I still felt just muddled. Like, that's the best way I can put it, is just muddled. The whole
opening shot with the bad CGI on Superman was really just kind of telling us what we were going to get with that movie. And I, as somebody who is both a Marvel and DC fan, I was crushed that Justice League looked like it was shortcutted to death as far as a theatrical release goes. Whether there was some behind the scenes drama and everything that's played on the press, that's not really, really here or there, but the finished product ultimately was just bad. And that, of course, spawned the whole release the Snyder Cut movement, which is, like 3 or 4 years now. Just Zack Snyder said, I was 90% done this movie, and
I don't think that number's accurate, but it doesn't seem like he was 90% done, because they did a lot.
Well, is it 90% done, like shot, or 90% like done, like in the can?
Yeah, don't know. Yeah,
but
it's kind of liquid.
But anyway,
exactly that meant.
This whole movement took place, and of course, I still don't think we would have gotten it if it wasn't for HBO Max. HBO Max needed something to really bring subscribers. Mm-hmm. And they pretty much had a almost finished product ready to go. They the whole Time Warner media outlet there, they knew that Justice League was not a well-received movie, and the Snyder Cut has this whole following behind it. But we surprisingly actually got a Justice League Snyder Cut, and let's dive in. So, what did you think of it?
I quite liked it. There are complaints that I think it's 30 minutes way too long. I would the whole epilogue,
right,
outside of the VO done by Joe Morton, where the film ends for my brain, the film ends with Superman opening the shirt, going towards the camera. That's it. And I get why the other stuff is there, because under the right circumstances, this is what would have followed. And I'm gonna say right now, I don't think it's totally out of the realm of reality that other stuff happens in some form or fashion. But for all the people who are very, very anxious for that, you got to remember, Affleck's kind of moved on. And if you look at the situation with Cyborg, with the actor Fisher. Do you really think he's going to work with Warner Brothers? And I think inarguably one of the best improved aspects is Cyborg in this new cut. Flash also gets more time to kind of shine, even though I am so done with the young superhero who stammers over his words when meeting older heroes, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna be like this. Like, we've seen it already 100 movies with Spider-Man. Yeah. We've seen it now with Flash. I don't want to see that anymore. I'm so tired of it.
Like when I think of Flash, I know it's a little unfair to make the comparison, but I think of a grown man from the comic books. He was never a kid, and he had a career. He had a thing going on, and Ezra Miller might be fine for certain roles. That's whatever. But I never bought him as Flash. But in this cut, I kind of enjoyed his role more. And I think, especially with the climax, I think he had a lot more to do.
That's the thing. When he gets to do the role as that and not as the, hey guys, do you notice how young I am? When they're not making him do that shtick, I think he's great. I think he's really good. I think the scenes with Billy Crudup as his father are very effective. And I cannot tell you, I think the third act of this movie is actually excellent.
Yeah.
While I think the middle frame is kind of sluggish, I think the third act is really spectacular. The storming the castle, basically, of Steppenwolf's castle, and the reintroduction of Superman and everything that they have with that, and then the reversal of time and the last minute save that Flash gets to do, going over the dialogues of earlier scenes with his father and all this kind of stuff. I thought that was the highlight of the movie. I think it's kind of clearly the highlight of the movie. It looked good. It sounded good. The music at that point is just, it doesn't sound like every other superhero movie. So yeah. I love the MCU films, but you've on DMH and conversations, my big criticism is they all look the same. They all look the same. They all kind of follow the same pattern. So I am the guy who wants something different. I am like, you can't see it in the camera, but to my right is an entire case filled of Superman stuff, from Alex Ross signed books to premium format statues to six-figure statues to mugs and this thing. Like, I'm a massive Superman guy. I want this universe to work, and this gave me one of the better examples outside of Wonder Woman, which I think works great. You can try to do something else that isn't just every other superhero film, because a lot of superhero films, they want their superheroes to feel like us.
Yeah,
they're just like you and I, so you can relate to it. Where this movie, they do have that, but the way that they're also displayed is gods. These are gods among men, or among humans, however you want to put it. And I like that. Like, I want that mythical status.
Yeah, that seems to be for my people. That seems to be more of a DC point. Marvel has that to a degree, but to a degree. But DC is flat out. You're talking about modern day Olympic gods and all their characters, and
literally really, one of them. I mean,
yeah, literally. But yeah, I've always enjoyed that, and I know that Zack Snyder appreciates that whole thing. And he makes it very clear in this the new edition of Justice League that that's what these heroes are. They are modern day gods, and it plays off very well.
Something though that what's funny is when they originally said, "Hey, this is coming out," they said it's going to be episodic.
Yeah.
I actually think that it benefits from being episodic. I think 4 hours, it's just too damn long. Again, a half hour of it is this epilogue, which you don't need 2/3 of it. So that right there helps immensely. Like I watched it twice in the last 3 days. The second watching, I stopped on the Superman opening the shirt. I'm like, that's the end of the movie. Don't need to watch anymore. Because unless those things are going to come to fruition, I'm not really too interested in seeing like what could have been or what would be. I just wanted a final moment to the movie and call it a day. But when I think of this movie, and we were talking about this a little bit on the Disney show and the pre-show, there's a release schedule of this that I think benefits the movie even more than just putting it all out there. That was a weekly release of, chaptered out. Now you can still watch it that way. The movie allows you to watch it that way. There are part 1, part 2, part 3. You have full freedom to hit stop and watch it in that way. And I think I would actually suggest that to a number of people. Watch it 2 parts at a time. I think that's a fair way of looking at it.
Because there's a lot of casual movie fans that are part of the Disney Movie Hour Discord group that have said it's kind of like it's been a little bit of a slog to get through. It's 4 hours, wow, it's a long time. And I fell asleep. And, I see a lot other than the diehard fans or even regular fans to a degree can sit through 4 hours. Like I had no problems. I didn't really feel that I was looking at my watch at any point. I was very invested into this, but I understand where a lot of people weren't. But yeah, I agree. You can stop and start this pretty easily and not be taken out of the whole experience.
Yeah, you're at home. Do whatever fits best for your experience. Do what you got to do. I mean, that is the benefit of an oddity of the situation that we all find ourselves in. Hopefully not. We're getting better. Things are getting better. It's great. I know you got your shot. I got a shot too. I'm very excited. But right now you have the ability and the option to just stop after 2 parts or a part, whatever you feel best. I still think even with that, there's a little bit of slow because when you look at the overall plot is get 3 boxes.
Yeah.
And he gets 2 of them kind of quickly.
Yeah, I would say the overall plot is not dissimilar from the theatrical Justice League. Like the skeletal part of the whole plot is there. It's from start to finish. Mm-hmm. That is essentially what we get in this 4-hour cut, but we get so much more meat that it should be kind of, a new experience. There are a lot of new scenes in this. Obviously, It's a 4-hour runtime, minus the 30-minute epilogue, which I agree with. I think that pretty much should have ended with the Superman reveal. But I liked it. I'm going to watch it again when it comes to, of course, 4K, and when they do release the black and white version, I do want to see it for that. But what are and I'm glad the one scene from the theatrical version that I was so glad was in this one was when the Flash, when Superman's back and he's kind of fighting the look. The look. Yeah, that needed to stay in there because that's I would have been crushed if that was not part of this movie because I love that made the theatrical cut for me, and I'm glad that was a Snyder filmed version. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments when I saw it originally in the theater, in a movie that I thought was very forgettable. It was that and the race at the end, but that had nothing to do with the actual movie. It was just a cool thing to see. Yeah, it wasn't actually anything towards it. What did you think of the CG in the film, though? Because honestly, a lot of this looked like a Diablo cutscene. And I'm not saying Diablo cutscenes look good. Like they don't look bad, but that was where I felt the limitation or the cut time or whatever they had to do. That's where it reared its head. Now it's okay with Desaad and with Darkseid because they're coming through like that molten kind of look. I'm fine with that. The redesign on Steppenwolf is fine, and I do like that they gave Steppenwolf more of a purpose and a reasoning behind what he's doing other than just I want to destroy things. It was I want to gain favor back of my nephew, which is a weird thing to say. But he wants to gain favor back and kind of be let back into this kingdom of destruction that is Apocalypse. I like that they put that in there. He's still just a big CGI guy, though. It wasn't like I got anything more out of him from that. The outfit didn't suddenly make him more interesting to me. It was that at least I understood. Oh, there's a real purpose behind what you want to do. Yeah, that helped a little more. But what did you think of the effects? I think the CGI of the characters was it put me out a little bit because we're used to seeing, of course, going to Avengers. I thought Thanos was a well done CG overlay. I think it looked a little bit more, if you want to use the word, believable. Where Steppenwolf, Darkseid, Desaad were obviously CGI. I didn't really get that full ray of emotion that I would have liked from, like a practical actor overlay. Like I don't know who they used or how they did it.
Well, it's Saran Hindus. I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, but I mean, he's an incredible actor. You can see him in Munich. You can see him in Rome.
Yeah.
HBO's Rome. He was Caesar. He's an incredible actor doing the voice.
But you don't necessarily get, like, you can clearly see Brolin through Thanos.
Yeah.
And
you don't
buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
there's a disconnect there. There's a big disconnect there.
But the parademons and the other effects I thought were good. They looked good. That was, other than the main villains, that really was the only part that kind of took me out of the film. But once again, that was a little more of just the limitation, like you said. It could have been maybe done a little bit better in a proper theatrical way if they were going to finish it at that point, because apparently Warner Brothers gave Zack Snyder $70 million to finish this movie.
Yeah, the reported number was $70 million. Whether or not that was what it was at the end of the day, who knows? Because I mean, once you announce it, you got to finish it, right? So, if it went a little above that, I wouldn't be too surprised. Yeah, so I get that. Like, I'm not gonna. It's not something that I was like, oh, this looks like trash. I can't watch it. Right. It wasn't anything like that. It just sort of stuck out. There were some odd moments for me. Really, Aquaman throwing bottles into the ocean just seems dumb. Like, I get it. He's like this, I'm the cool guy, I don't really care thing. But he does care about, and him just littering. Also, what's going on with his clothes? Every time he comes out or goes into the water, he's just leaving clothes for people to pick up. Yeah, which I guess when he comes back, like, it's just like, I got clothes there. I left it there last time.
Yeah, no, so, he's got. I noticed that one scene where he brought in the sailor. He's already clothed, but then he goes back out to the sea. He takes off his shirt. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so weird. I was like, all right, I mean, sure. Maybe he caught him, in a really awkward time where he didn't have time to take his shirt off before. But now that he's got time to take that shirt off, he's taking his shirt off. Yeah, which, you know what? Women have been objectified in movies like forever. If Snyder's like, yo, we're getting Momoa out of his shirt at any moment possible, go for it. Why not? Good for him. But if I look like Jason Momoa, I'd be taking my goddamn shirt off every 2 minutes too. Yeah, exactly. That would be my thing. Like, so yeah.
And one of the things I really loved about this version of Justice League, but also the take on the character that I feel we did not get, unfortunately, with Wonder Woman 84, was Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman in this was a total badass. She was great. The Amazonian sequence was so much better. The fight looked brutal. It looked just intense and like actual bloody. It looked really fantastic. And the Wonder Woman fight scenes I thought were great. The whole opening sequence with her at the, what is it, a museum or bank or something?
It's a bank. No, well, there's a troop of kids there. You would think it was a museum. I think it was a museum.
Yeah, something like that. But it was so much more expanded upon in this version. Looked great. And this was the Wonder Woman that I really wanted in 84. Unfortunately, we did not get. But I
don't think they were going for punchy Wonder Woman in 84 though. Like,
no.
And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm tired of there can be a certain limitation of the one-on-one finale in superhero films because they're very rarely interesting. The choreography is usually one person floating in the air while the other person is trying to get to that one person floating in the air. So I'm okay with them going a little sideways with 84. But yeah, she was Amazonian warrior. The music every time she jumped in the air with the like that, after like the 15th time, that seemed a little silly. But it didn't bother me either. Again, like there's a certain point where with this film, the over the top ridiculous like God worshipping, you're signing up for it. Like at a certain point, like if you're still in the game and you're still like watching and decided like I'm going to stick with this, then you're accepting those terms. So even while on the 5th or 6th time in the 3rd act, where when Wonder Woman is jumping in the air in slow motion, and the kicks in. I'm fine because I signed, like, at this point, I have agreed to it. I haven't, like, thrown in the towel. So, yeah, sure. I did think the Superman scream was also something I was not expecting.
That went on a while, didn't it?
It felt like it went on a while. It didn't feel as long the second time, but I remember the first time thinking, is this like a whole act? Like, is this going to be this scream going
part
through?
Part one, the Superman.
Yeah, part one, the yell. The yell of anguish. But again, I'm okay. Like, my superhero films can be silly. Like, I know a lot of people, like, Zack Snyder's like the serious director, and these are like the brutal films. Bullshit. Like, these movies are silly. Like, there's a lot of silliness in these things. And I embrace those parts. I think those parts are great, because then when you see Wonder Woman just chopping heads off people, or one person in particular, you're like, yeah, don't get in her way. And I have no problem with Wonder Woman. Like, are we spoiler? We're okay with spoilers,
yeah,
right?
We're spoiler. I'll put it
okay. All right. Like, when she beheads Steppenwolf, I'm like, well, yeah. Like, letting him live is not a positive thing. I don't want Superman just killing people. I think that goes against the grain of the character. I had no problem with him killing Zod, though, because in that scene, he says to him, Zod says, like, it's either this or I'm going to kill these people, and I'm never going to stop until you stop me. Yeah. And in the comics, Superman killed Zod. Now, you can say, like, I want Superman to find a way to end these people without killing them, but that was his first go-around as Superman. And that was his failure in that movie, is not being able to find a way to stop the situation without having to kill somebody. It's the lesson he learns that I hope that he brings forward. I have no problem with paranoid, crazy Batman killing people either. Like, or, even though he gets his stuff back together here, like, he's killing parademons. I don't care.
Yeah.
These are not things that I'm like, it's fine. I really don't have any issue with that. My heroes can be brutal to people that want to kill all of humanity. I'm okay with that. I personally don't have an issue with it. Superman, I would have an issue with if it's overdone.
There are certain, I would say parameters you still want a character like Superman to fall in, and I think the Zod situation, of course, was really from a comic, and it had weight to it, and because if Superman kill everybody, then these would be very short movies, and nobody would really stand a chance. But I felt that I'm trying to remember the theatrical cut a little bit. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but
don't try to.
No, that's dead to me. Pretty much, it's gone. But I seem to remember a little bit more of a fight from Steppenwolf and Superman, because it seemed like he got his butt kicked a little too easy.
Yeah, but see, I'm okay with that, because that back and forth punching match where it's like a real battle and Superman gets bested a little bit, that's versus Darkseid. Like, that's that fight. I think Snyder, specifically in this, wanted Superman to be like, the reason that this piece can't be on the board earlier than the final act is because once this piece versus this particular villain is put on the board, fight's over. So, and I didn't like the treatment of Superman and Batman vs Superman. So I thought this was a way of balancing that out of, if the guy wants to beat the crap out of you, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
He's Superman. So him blocking the axe and just immediately not impressed. And
I did like that.
Icing it and shattering it immediately. Steppenwolf versus that crew of superheroes, if we are to take that they are as powerful as whatnot, which also, I mean, in the way of description, Cyborg is equally as dangerous to the safety of humanity as Superman is, by the way. Yeah. Like, if the guy can just control all the nuclear, it takes a bad day for Cyborg to kill all of humanity then, which I thought was it was a way to go with it. I thought I was okay with it. But,
and they kind of touch on that with the whole Joe Morton.
That was the whole thing, was like, you can upend the society in a second. The financial realm can come crashing because of what you want to do in a moment's thought. But I think that Steppenwolf versus this crew of superheroes, if we're to take them at the strength that they are supposed to be, yeah, he should get smashed. Like, that's it. He should be smashed immediately. Which then, going forward, you have to find the equal power to make a threat without always having to fall back on but what if Superman was out of the equation? And that's always been the hard thing for a lot of JLA stories is, they have to sideline Superman or sideline Wonder Woman so that you don't have that power level in order to make the threat of the villain seem possible. And with Darkseid, you don't have to worry about that. Like, he can be the player on the other side of the field, and it's still going to be a struggle no matter what.
Yeah.
Or you can make it that it's a battle of the mind, which is where you can bring in the Lex, which I don't know. I don't know. I don't dislike the Jesse. I get it. At the time when JL was being made and all that, and Batman vs Superman, making Mark Zuckerberg Lex Luthor makes a lot of sense. I think they pushed it a little too far, and he's definitely a little more subdued in the scene that we see him in the epilogue in here. I could see it working.
But
I don't know if it matters.
See, I'm used to the Clancy Brown animated Lex Luthor, and of course Gene Hackman is iconic as Luthor back then. But it's funny because I'm not completely married to one portrayal of Lex Luthor. So for me, I'll say in Batman v Superman, which, by the way, the Ultimate Edition, I feel improves that movie greatly. I actually do enjoy it. But I was very unsure of Eisenberg as Lex. And when I've seen the movie multiple times now, and he's kind of grown on me.
No, that's the thing. Like, I'm not totally against it. I really am not. I think that version, that idea of Lex can be great. And I'm also not someone who's like, hey, this is what they're like in the comic, therefore this got to be like, because as a DC person, as a DC kid growing up, Elseworlds was a big part of my comic reading. So there was never a single version of Superman or Batman. I read different versions just because stories allowed me to. So I'm not married to like, hey, they have to be like this. But I don't know. There's a slight disconnect right now. And I don't know if that ever will get charged up. But I liked the scene. I mean, I thought, like, again, watching it, you don't understand why you're watching it, because if this doesn't go to anywhere, what the hell's the point? But the scene with him and Deathstroke is fine. It's cool. I like Manganiello. Is that his last name?
Yeah.
I mean, he's physically perfect for that role. I mean, I whether or not he ever faces off against an Affleck Batman, I don't really think that's a possibility anymore, right?
Unfortunately, it looks like the Snyderverse is pretty much going to end here at this point.
But I think it was like the ending of just the opening of the shirt. That's a great ending.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go into the thing. I don't care about evil Superman anymore. We've seen it so much lately. Like every DC game is like, but what if Superman went evil? Like, like, I don't care anymore. It's tiresome.
Yeah, I would say if I had one complaint about that end with Superman, look, I understand. I would have liked the black suit to have a real purpose, like it did in the comics, where it was like a regeneration kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I understand Zack Snyder saying that it reflects his, not mental state, but where the situation calls for, like, having a black suit. But I would have loved that ending shot to be back in the red and blue.
It should have been the red and blue. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, that one. That's my one of my big complaints about the ending there. But other than that, I liked it.
Yeah, the rebirth suit during his first comeback, I get all that. But on the final goodbye, it should have been the red and blue. Because again, this constant like, but what if he was evil? But what if he's really sad? It's just like, man, we've been doing it for so long now. It's just too much. We get it. Superman could murder people with his eyes.
Yeah.
We can, like, you've made that actually more tiresome than the Boy Scout, because I think the Boy Scout's more interesting, because to me it's more of a challenge. The more interesting aspect of Superman to me is to wake up every day knowing you can do that and choosing not to.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me, because as we've seen in like the course of human history, those who have power immediately abuse it. So a superhero abusing his power, to me, is the most obvious road to take. The harder road to tell a story and to show the struggle is the guy who can but doesn't.
Yeah,
that's way more interesting to me.
Yeah. Speaking of evil Superman, how do you feel the new Nightmare scenes took? What did it do for you as far as
nothing.
Like, a viewer? Yeah,
it did nothing for me. The Leto thing, I thought it was just straight up a bad performance. But there are two things I liked in that scene. Number one, I do like that Batman says, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
I liked it because I'm going to be very straight up about this. I don't understand why Batman leaves him alive. I don't think that killing the Joker makes Batman a crazy person. I think that killing the Joker saves hundreds of thousands of lives. I do not think that killing the Joker is the end all of Batman's quality. I just don't. At a certain point, it's a little ridiculous. That aside, when he brings up the Harley Quinn thing, and again, I don't like Leto in the scene, but when he brings up the Harley Quinn thing, there's a moment of, he points at him, he's like, "Oh, you're good." That line is good, but it's the next line where he says, "You almost got me." He has none of the jokey ridiculousness to his voice, and we get to the actual person that's behind Joker. Watch that scene again and just listen to that one line. "You almost had me." Or he says something to that effect, almost exactly that. That was really fun to see the Joker, but as whoever he was before it all happened. Yeah. Because Harley, in his twisted mind, is the one person he may have actually cared about. He doesn't actually do it in any of his actions. He's an abusive, horrible person. But it's the one thing that Batman could have said that actually did get through all those layers and to the actual human being that still resides in that little part of Joker. And I thought that was really interesting. And I know a lot of people are very turned off by the reach around comment. Yeah. And I get it. It does come off as very childish and whatnot. But in one of my favorite Batman stories, or actually my favorite Batman story, Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison, the Joker grabs Batman's ass. And it's all just to make him uncomfortable, to make him physically uncomfortable around him. And I think that's what that comment is sort of trying to mirror. I don't think it's as good as physically grabbing Batman. And it does come off as childish, but also those guys weren't in the same room when that scene was shot. So you understand, you have to sometimes remember, practically they actually couldn't do it, or it would have been a weird cutaway. I didn't actually have that big of a problem with it because it reminded me of Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum. So, anyways, but no, I didn't care for it very much. Did you? Did you care for it at all?
No, the whole nightmare thing, I think I would have to. It's one of those things where you'd have to see the whole context and the whole where it starts and ends in order to really kind of that was a good idea, because right now we only have the Batman v Superman sequence and in this one, but where was it going to go? I think ultimately they were going to do the time travel thing with the Flash and kind of bring that around, but I don't know. I think if you would have cut out all of that, I would have been fine. I don't think I would have really missed something.
Yeah.
But, because I did like that really quick scene of where Diana's dead, and they had Superman crushed after Lois getting killed, and Darkseid putting his hand on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Right, all you need there, and I think it would have been okay. But the whole ending nightmare sequence felt a little bit where's this ultimately going to go? There wasn't a real resolution there.
Yeah, because isn't really the whole point of that to avoid that future?
Exactly.
So why are we going to it for so long and so much? It just doesn't seem necessary at all. The quick dream sequences and these flashes, no pun intended, of what could be is fine. But when you want to sit in that place for 15 minutes,
yeah.
Does anyone have a dream that's that coherent? I've never had a dream that was that coherent. So it doesn't come off as a dream sequence. It just feels like a movie that you're not going to make. But why do you want to make that movie anyway? The whole point of that is to avoid that. Like, again, like if your Superman is there just to always be but what if he was bad? I'm bored. Like, I don't care. That's not intriguing to me at all anymore, because I feel like we've been on that ship for so long. And even like the Suicide Squad game that's coming out that I really hope is fun. It's like, you hunt Superman. You're like, Jesus, we get it. Like,
and both Injustice games are also evil Superman taking over the world. It's all
circled around like, what if Superman killed people? Like, Jesus. Does anyone have any other ideas? Because also, if you want to tell me like the Boy Scout thing doesn't work, then please tell me how Marvel's Captain America didn't work.
Yeah.
Or Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman, or anything, 100 other, things. So I think it comes off a little bit as lazy when you keep falling back to that thing to do with that character.
Yeah, because it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's a lot of Justice League stories in the comics don't have a lot of Superman in them because you have to sideline him in some way. Writers, I've heard in multiple, media that Superman is a hard character to really nail as far as making him have a worthy antagonist and like a threat against him. So what way to counter that is to make him evil. So it's just one of those things that it's kind of like a tired trope at this point.
Yeah, because one of my favorite Justice League stories is Darwin Cook's The New Frontier. And The New Frontier, Superman gets like swatted out of the whole movie in the beginning, because if he's there, ta-da! So you have to figure out some ways around that. But get creative. To just do that. Try that for a difference. But anyways, back to the movie itself. I think it's a vast improvement over the other one. I mean, I watched it twice in 2 days. Did I get a little bored in the middle? Yeah, I did. But I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would have. I'm happy that Snyder has spoken out against some of the garbage groups on the internet who have said some awful, just lazy, cowardly things online. That's all those people are. They're just cowards. So that helped a lot too, because he's kind of been not really calling those people out, and for whatever reason he felt like now was the time to do it. Good, I'm happy he did it. But that aside, just from the quality of the movie, I think it's really good. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. He did I think they did the best they could do under the circumstances, and it's still too long. But I enjoyed my time with it. I will probably buy it. And the movies are weird right now, guys. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this gets an IMAX exclusive theatrical run. Maybe not this year, because there's so much backlog of things that was supposed to come out last year. Clearly, WB schedule is going to be on HBO Max and stuff like that. But I can see this getting a theatrical in a year.
I would. I would see
or whatever. Like the end of the year, depending on what else is coming out, because I don't think you want to compete with too much of brand new stuff that people haven't gotten a chance to see yet.
And this is slightly for us, home theater people, a little bit of a low hanging fruit topic, but aspect ratio bother you at all? Obviously not.
No, it didn't, because this isn't the first movie I've ever seen in 4:3. You can say like it's IMAX 4:3, whatever, but I'm at home. It's 4:3.
Yeah.
Like the over defending of the 4:3 thing kind of shows your ass a little bit, in my opinion. It's 4:3, whatever. There's been incredible movies that have shot 4:3. Whoever doesn't think that obviously hasn't watched a lot of movies.
Yeah, like The Lighthouse recently.
Yeah, so I'm totally fine with it, because also when you work within what's in the frame, then you did it right. It's a bummer, and I hope that I get to see I actually hope I get to see it in a proper IMAX setup, because if that was the intention and that is the hope, then I actually really do hope that it gets an IMAX thing, because I'd like to see it on that format. Because, I have a 65-inch OLED, and I really like my setup at home, and I'm very comfortable, and I'm very happy with my little home theater thing. but it's not an IMAX screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so even though my TV is great and I love my TV, it's a widescreen TV. So 4:3 is 4:3.
Yeah.
I don't get the verticality, on that hope, on that want for that format. So I actually really hope it gets a theatrical, and I would love if they put it into 2 parts or something like that. But I'm sure they won't do that.
Yeah, I would absolutely go see it in IMAX. And
Yeah.
as somebody, like, I gave the theatrical cut of Justice League a star, like 1 star out of 5. I gave this one a 4. I think it's a solid improvement. It's not perfect, but it has a lot more going for it than against it.
I would give it a very strong 3.5 out of 5. The epilogue really is almost half a star, and I think the middle frame could be sped up a little bit. I just don't think there's that much happening. That it can get a little disengaging. But I mean, actually, if I could extend it to 10 stars, which I know is stupid, but it would be like a strong B-. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we wanted to give it a grade, because 3.5 is 70 out of 10, and someone could be like,
I know. Yeah.
It's always a weird thing to do with grading these things. We always have that issue with the movies on Disney too.
Yeah.
But it's like a strong B-. But I'm talking about a movie that came from I do not want to look at this thing anymore to a B- on 2 viewings, 4 hours long, when I was traveling earlier this week, having to do other stuff. It's pretty damn good. I think it's actually pretty damn good. And the fact that I sat to watch it again, I think says a lot towards my enjoyment level of it. So, I mean, yeah, it's a strong B- for me. It really is. And not watching the epilogue was very helpful.
Yeah.
Was very, very helpful towards it. So, bravo. Good on him for getting the movie that he wanted to do out. I'm sure it's not exactly the way he wanted it, because of, how impossible that may have been under the circumstances.
Yeah.
But good on him for getting it out. I hope that the people who, in good faith, wanted this have enjoyed it. And I hope that some people who had absolutely no interest in it, which I kind of fall into that category, I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if not, don't worry. There's 100 other movies coming out, so you just watch something else.
Yeah, I was very pleased overall with the turnout of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I give him props for putting out what he did, and it's not the end all be all of superhero movies, but I think it stands on its own. It's strong, and it's so much better than the theatrical cut. So I think at the end of the day, we both recommend Zack Snyder's Justice League. Check it out on HBO Max. So, all right. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Pete, thanks for being on the first episode here. And we're going to, definitely be doing this again with other films. So everybody at home, check us out on Movie Guy 365, and we'll see you later.
Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot.